Welcome to the Your Family Dog podcast, where we celebrate the special bond between families and their canine companions. Our goal is to help families and dogs grow up together, one episode at a time. Welcome back to the Your Family Dog podcast. Today, I am joined by the incomparable Warren Hanson, who wrote the book, The Next Place, and also wrote a book that's named or titled Paw Prints in the Stars. And today we're going to talk a little bit about those books and anything else Warren wants to talk about. He has been delightful via email, so I assume he will just be just as much fun here in person. So welcome to the Your Family Dog podcast, Warren.
Thank you, and thank you for all the pressure that you just put on me to be incomparable. Oh, I don't know how to begin to be incomparable.
Okay, so the first question I have for you should be pretty easy. Why are there two shoes attached to your wall behind you?
Those shoes were worn by our granddaughter when she was about 3, and I loved those shoes on her, and she loved those shoes. She just turned 16.
Oh, wow.
And I found those shoes ready to be tossed one day some years ago, and I couldn't stand it. So I nailed them to my wall. And I am every day I am reminded of her as if I really need to be reminded. But it's a reminder of that sweet little 3-year-old who used to toddle around here.
Yes, who's manifesting into like an amazing young woman.
Oh, you know her then. Uh-huh. No, she's wonderful. Her name is Alden, and she's a kind and empathetic and smart and funny girl, and I'd love to spend more time with her than I do.
I will say my grandkids are in Wyoming and I'm in Georgia, and it's excruciating.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know them very well, and I really, really wish that I had had the opportunity to. So I love that you have a great relationship. The oldest is now at the University of Oklahoma, and we text pretty regularly. So that's
Okay.
been fun because I'm getting to know her a little bit more because she's a different kind of busy than she was as a senior in high school. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it's super cute, but it's wonderful getting to know them. And my perspective as I grow and mature has adjusted to a certain extent what is important. And so I now really get to understand that grandparent role of just rolling around in the awesome that is those kiddos. And
Yeah.
and knowing that the world's going to put them in a box and I'm going to be like, toss the box away. You're going to be great.
That's right. That's right. The world wants to do that, and I've fought those boxes all my life.
I think we all do. Although I will say there are some boxes I put myself in and I have since tossed myself out of. So
Okay.
it's not always the world doing it. Sometimes we do it to ourselves.
And I understand. Mhm.
So how many books have you written, Warren?
Well, I started life really as an illustrator. So, written and or illustrated is probably the better way to ask that question. And so my name is on the cover of 35 books, either as author or illustrator or both.
That's wonderful.
About half of them are bona fide children's books. Some of them are funny and silly, and the others are adult books, but they're often mistaken for children's books because I'm an illustrator, and so I make the books look nice, and the format, the size and shape of them sometimes uh, is closer to what a children's book looks like. But they both, I talk to children the same way I talk to adults, and I talk to adults the same way I talk to children, I guess.
I try to curse less with the children. It's the
Uh,
last vice I have. So I sometimes struggle with a potty mouth, but I'm pretty good on the podcast. And I have a wonderful um, producer who will make me look less obnoxious as needed. Shout
I'm
out to
glad to
Ellie.
hear that. Yes.
So yeah,
Cursing is one thing that I have been able to escape, I think largely because of my kind-hearted mother. We just didn't have that kind of language in the house.
yeah. We didn't either. I just
Yeah, you pick it up along the
it's one
way.
of those things, and so I struggle with it. But yeah, that's always one that I'm like, "Okay, stop with the mouth."
Hmm.
Alright, so as you were talking about how some of the books that you've worked on for adults sometimes get mistaken for children, I think that for children's books, I often think that the ability of an author and or an illustrator to titrate down to here's the crux of the thing
Hmm.
in story or parable or illustration is really magical. And what we typically do with kids that absolutely serves the adult just as much, if not more. We're so inundated with information and
Hmm.
streams of information from
Right.
like I feel buffeted by it all the time.
Hmm.
I started saying that any tab open on my computer is now actually a portal, and I have too many portals open. So I love that you can distill things, these concepts down to a place that they're really attainable no matter where you are on the age continuum.
I think that's very important. I was when my kids were growing up, a friend accused me of talking to them as if they were adults.
Well, they are. They're adults in training.
Right. So I took umbrage at that accusation because I thought, well, I'm just showing them respect, and then I'm talking to them like they are real people, and that's the way I do my book. So, as I said, some of them are funny, but they all have a sort of tender heart. These two books in particular that we may be talking about today have to do with loss and grief. Well, we experience loss at every stage of our lives, whether it be, you were talking about Thanksgiving. The loss of a football game is a tragedy to some people. Um, the loss of a friend who moves away when you're 7 years old, the loss of a cherished pet. We are faced with loss all the time, and so that's part of the human experience that I have been drawn to explore. And then what I learn as an author, I hold that up to people as a mirror and say, here's your experience. Here's what you're feeling right now. And I sort of hold their hand as we walk through that experience together. So that's kind of what I do.
Well, and I think we insulate ourselves from death and loss a lot. Like
Mm.
we stop talking about the pet or the person. Um, we don't really hold wakes and funerals in our homes anymore. Lots of people don't age in the family home anymore.
Right.
And so I think as a culture, to a certain extent, we've separated ourselves so much that we're not really equipping young kids who are going to become adults in how to navigate that loss and sorrow.
That's right.
And it can really, I mean, grief's a rough one, man. It'll pants you.
Yeah, it
And
will.
it amazes me how it comes out of nowhere.
Mhm.
The other day I was walking from the area where I teach dog training to a grocery store that's in the same plaza to grab lunch. And someone walked past me. I don't know who it was, who must have had, he must do mechanic work in some form because he had cleaned his hands with a kind of cleaner that my paternal grandfather used to use. And just this waft of scent
Mhm.
totally out of nowhere outside. I'm 55 years old, immediately teleported me back to that 8-year-old sitting on my grandpa's lap watching, the Godzilla and Mothra black and white movies again. And it, I mean, it stopped me in my tracks. Like
Mm.
immediately, I just had this wave of missing my grandfather so much. And in the past, I probably would have processed that as sorrow
Mhm.
and just been really sad the rest of the day.
Mhm.
And instead, I caught myself and went, what a wonderful reminder,
Mm.
right? Like I can choose to remember the next place in this place.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
to say, okay, well, I miss him. I bet he misses me too. And what a reunion that'll be one day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So having that hope in front of us all the time sort of buffers the pain that we feel when there is such a profound loss. Now, I didn't of my four grandparents. I There were three of them who died before I was born, and so I never got to know them, and I never had a grandpa. I never had a grandfather
Oh,
that I got to know. So now I am a grandfather and I am trying to be, I don't even, it's not even that I have to try very hard. I want to be the kind of grandpa that I didn't have
right,
and uh, be loving and be funny and be tender and all of those things that we should all be to each other all the time, really,
right.
whether we're related or not. I was close with my college roommate and every morning I'm retired now, so I one of the things I do is I walk in the morning, I walk in a county park, and I take a camera along with me, and I take pictures. And somehow on this walk one day, I saw something that reminded me of my roommate, and I told myself, when I get home, I'm going to give Dave a call. I got home to the email that he had died that morning.
Oh,
Of a heart. He was experiencing going through some sort of heart procedure, and a totally unexpected. He was fit. He was active. It just was totally wrong, and that loss hit me harder than any relative, including my parents. I don't know why. It just seemed so wrong that he was gone and gone like that. So grief hits us in different ways, and I've been processing that ever since, and also enjoying the memories of my college roommate and the goofball college students that we were at that time. So grief is tough, it's complex, and um, in creating these books, I spent a lot of time in fact, I used to joke that my neighbors must have thought that I didn't have a job at all because part of my work was sitting out on my back deck with a notebook on my lap and just staring off into space. And so I've been doing that now with this most recent grief, and I did that a lot as I was writing these books. Sort of re-experience losses that I had felt in my life and understanding what other people feel and trying to synthesize that and sift it down into something that could be that mirror that I talked about so that people could look at this book and say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling right now.
well, and grief is just, it's something you gotta, whew, it has a steep learning curve. And it is really different. A lot of the families I work with, you know, one person, for example, they might lose a beloved family pet and maybe the kids and mom in 6 months are ready to go and bring a new family member home and dad is like absolutely not. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And that it can be difficult navigating that the needs are different for different members of the household. And sometimes, I mean, I've seen families that they'll bring home a new pet and dad never really bonds with that animal because it just was never the right time. Like it just wasn't the right time. And
Yeah.
I'm always so heartbroken because those relationships can be very cathartic. I also understand having loss so profound that like we just aren't ready to open our hearts yet.
Right. My wife and I lost our beloved little scout. She's a Westie, um, a while back. And one of the things I feared was that our kids would get together and surprise us with a replacement. I really did not want that to happen because it wouldn't have been on my schedule. Um, and fortunately, they didn't do that, but it could have easily happened. And I don't know how I would have handled that.
It would have been tough. So let's talk about the next place. And
Okay.
then we'll also talk about Paw Prints and the Stars, because I think it would be inappropriate to only talk about pet loss.
Right.
Our children are having to navigate loss from all different perspectives, and we can't insulate them from it. I mean, we can try, but it doesn't work very well. The news is always going to be splashy. There's always going to be conversations about death and loss. And I also am conflicted that a lot of times video games are creating a situation where it's like, oh, life just keeps going, even though, that you just get a new life and then
Right.
off you
Right.
go on the next adventure. So
Mhm.
I think it's warped to a certain extent sometimes how kiddos are perceiving death and loss and grief and bereavement. And that's part of why I wanted to introduce you on the podcast. So can you talk a little bit about where the idea of the next place came from?
Yes. And I appreciate the opportunity. I don't often get to talk about that. Um, so this was, well, the book came out in 97. So it's some people consider it a classic now because it's been
Ooh.
around a while. Um, and sometime before that, I was reading the newspaper and a photo caught my eye, and it was two children, a brother and a sister. I think they were 8, 9 years old, something like that. And the reason that the picture was in the paper was that both of their parents had just died in a car accident.
Oh,
And so the journalistic photographer, trying to do his or her job, got right in these kids' faces and caught that that loss, that grief, but also the bewilderment and the what now that was on those two faces. And and then I went on and, read the comics and do what I do, and the paper got recycled. But that picture haunted me. And by the time I thought that there was something in that for me, the the newspaper was long gone to recycling, so I never did find that photo again. But I thought about those two children a lot. And what I found that I wanted to do was just wrap my arms around them, not deliver a sermon or a life lesson or talk about the stages of grief or, all of those things are very valuable. That's not what I saw my role as. My role was just to wrap them up in love and 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 give them comfort. Give them comfort. So I thought, challenged myself. I wonder if I can do that in a book. And I just sat on my back deck staring at the sky and started jotting things into this notebook. And this stream emerged that was not religious, not educational. It was just as raw a version of comfort as I could give. Now, I have a copy of the book here. I believe that some of your subscribers can see this video, others can only see
yes.
the audio. But here's the book. And as you can see, as I described earlier, it sort of looks like a children's book. the size and the shape of it, and it's, the number of pages of a children's book, and
Right.
um, it's illustrated
It's
on every,
beautifully illustrated.
um, but it speaks in language that is not beyond children. It's not sing-songy or anything like that, but it does speak in simple language. But it also, my goal was to have it have enough depth that adults could find comfort in it too, because we all need that at those times of loss. And as it turns out, and over all these years that this book has been around, it's been purchased and read much more by adults than by children. And that was my intention. I was thinking of children when I wrote it, but I did not intend for it to be a children's book. It's for everyone.
And I had love that. I'm also reminded, like, many times during loss and grief, where it is an adult who's reading it to the child,
Hmm.
right? So they're processing their own grief. I think it's part of what makes loss so difficult to navigate with our kids, because often we're really devastated too.
Right.
So this idea that we're healing the reader who is also imparting the wisdom to the child is really beautiful. I also frankly think it would be phenomenal to use with Alzheimer's patients or dementia
Uh,
patients
hmm hmm
to just reignite this idea of there's actually a continuum of existence and connectedness that goes beyond the here and now.
Right. Right. And the book is titled The Next Place. So it does assume that there is a next place, but I started by throwing away everything that we think about that. We have some conceptions about what that afterlife is like. We have names for it, heaven or nirvana or Valhalla, and they all have
The
different
Rainbow
pictures.
Bridge.
Yeah, right, the Rainbow Bridge, yes. Um, and I wanted to throw all of that out. First of all, for my own sake, get rid of all the things that we've been shown and told, and let's start reimagining this place and try to depict it as a place of pure comfort and pure lack of care and worry. And it was an interesting process for me to go through.
Yeah, I mean, in reading it, there was so much food for thought. And even not, having an immediate loss, that's why I'm reading it. Part of the reason I wanted to bring you on the podcast was to maybe start these conversations with families before there's a loss.
Mm,
So that so that because I think we hide from it
mm-hmm.
and turn, I had a therapist once say to me, monsters hide in the dark. If we just turn the lights on, they scatter, right? Like, it's not a monster anymore. One of my favorite books, this, probably TMI, is The Monster at the End of the Book. Do you remember that book from
Yes, of
Sesame
course.
Street?
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so I will tell you, I was probably in my 40s when I learned that I was the monster at the end of my book and that I'm not scary at all. Like, I
Oh,
don't need to be afraid
yeah.
of me and my awesome and my less than awesome. That
Mhm.
the complete me is unique and a blessing in how I show up in the world, and that I could be vulnerable and I could be authentic, and it won't be for everybody, and that's okay. Like,
That's
it's
right.
it's probably the most important job I have is to show up in the world as the healthiest, most authentic, most vulnerable me that I can be.
Mhm.
And that's an evolution, right? This conversation will change both of us forever. And then so will the next conversation. It will all inform the rest of it. So that can be a really grand adventure. And I think I personally do better when I am prepared just a little bit for what might be coming.
That's that's so important, and it's on my mind these days because I've talked about my 16-year-old granddaughter, but I also have a 3-year-old grandson.
Oh,
And uh his parents have talked to me about how do we introduce the concept of death, and right now they're not even using the word
right.
because it can be scary and complicated, but what's the entry point? And I'm kind of looking for that. I frankly think that it will be their dog because they have a dog that's a Vizsla that's 12, 13 years old, maybe, all white face. And
Yeah. They
she's
gray
just,
so early.
yeah, but Bella won't be around that much longer. And so I think for my grandson, that will probably be the door that opens into that topic. I also have to acknowledge that it could be me.
Right.
I'm 76 years old. And I'm healthy and I take pretty good care of myself, but I'm 76. So in his lifetime, probably in his childhood, I will go. And I would like him to be prepared for that. He and I are great pals. And I think, if I may say this, he will miss me a lot. So I'd like him to be prepared. And the loss of a pet, the loss of a neighbor, um, those can all help to pave the way for that. But also, people like me who create books, and mine are not the only ones, that talk about this topic and help to prepare the soul, prepare the spirit and the heart for that loss that we're all going to face sometime.
Yes. I was interviewing another author who also writes children's books and adult books. And one of the topics that she's covered is bereavement and grief. And I just talked about that in 2018 and 2019, lost three of my dogs and my beloved maternal grandmother all in 18 months. And
Wow.
it was like I couldn't take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Um, it was and I mean, I think I attended 7 or 8 funerals in a month that year. It was just gutting
Mm.
to the point that of another business owner who's local that I'm friends with, we found ourselves sometimes attending more than one funeral in a day.
Ugh.
That we were like, we have got to stop meeting this way, right?
Yeah, yeah, right.
And it was the realization over time, through all that excruciating yuck, that as we age, grief becomes a more constant companion until we are the ones grieved.
Mhm, mhm.
And so it makes me a little more mindful. But I mean, one of the people who passed away during that time frame was someone who was like 10 years younger than I was at the time. And it was out of the blue, like just completely out of the blue. Not anybody's fault, um just happenstance. And I think when we're young, we just dismiss it and push it away because it doesn't happen very often. And I know I wasn't prepared. So part of this conversation is my way of shoving the world just a little bit toward remembering that part of parenting, at least or grandparenting, from my perspective, is preparing our kiddos and our hearts for the world.
Right.
And we would all like the world to change in a whole host of ways.
Mhm.
But monsters hide in the dark. And so I think talking about like our dogs don't last forever, our cats don't last forever, our horses don't last forever, and
Right.
we don't last forever. But
Right.
the love, that amazing connection and that love doesn't go anywhere. And you can reach out and touch it whenever you need to.
This might be a good place, if I can switch over to this other book called Paw
Sure.
Prints in the Stars. It it takes you the words that you just spoke are basically in the book. Now, I write
Even a
short.
blind squirrel, Warren.
I'm the nut. Um,
You and me both.
yes. Um, but it would not take very long for me to read that to you, and I'm wondering if that might be an appropriate thing to do.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. I will, for those who can see as well as hear. Here's the book, Paw
Well, it's
Prints in the Star.
beautiful.
Um, the publisher, I have a wonderful publisher, and
You do have a wonderful publisher.
yes, you know them, and
I mean, they
they're
they made my heart sing. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this whole team is like buttered unicorn breath." It's amazing.
they they are beautiful people with gigantic hearts, and they just get it. Um, so it was their idea to have a padded cover on this book so that it feels like something you want to hold.
Yes.
I thought that was great. So this is called Paw Prints in the Stars, and you'll get an idea of how how I approach these kinds of topics. So it's in the voice of the pet. I will always know you loved me, but it's time for me to go. I was your soulmate, your companion, and your friend. We meant more to one another than the world will ever know. We were devoted to each other to the end. So when you find that you are missing me, just listen to your heart, and you will know that I am never very far. Each time you stand beneath the heavens and look up to face the dark, you will see my shining paw prints in the stars. We loved each other from the start. I found a home inside your heart because you opened it so wide to welcome me. I hope you hold me there forever. Even when we are apart, there's no place on earth where I would rather be. We were wonderful together. Nothing else felt quite as right as lying quietly beneath your loving hand, sharing nibbles in the kitchen, sharing cuddles in the night, little rituals we grew to understand. I have waited at the window, hoping you would be home soon, and I was glad when you would greet me at the door. I loved sleeping in the sunshine of a winter afternoon, just a happy heap of fur upon the floor. We have learned from one another. We have shared the precious lessons we would not have gotten if we were alone. And those lessons we have learned have each been turned into a blessing. And with every blessing, our two hearts have grown. We've both learned patience, trust, and loyalty. We've both learned to forgive. We've learned that happiness can be a simple thing. The little pleasures are the ones that have the greatest gifts to give. A wooden stick, a rubber ball, a piece of string, my water dish, my toys, my bed, the simple things I leave behind. They may remind you that you miss me every day. So if you want to put them out of sight, I really wouldn't mind. It doesn't mean our love is being put away. It's all right that you have spoiled me, fed me treats I didn't need so I would try the tricks you wanted me to learn. And yes, I guess I slept in bed with you a time or two, but then it gave me joy to give you something in return. I gave you comfort and companionship. You've never felt alone because you knew that I was somewhere in the house. I gave you someone you could count on. When you needed me, you'd known that I'd be there and there were never any doubts. And now you know that I am somewhere else, a place of perfect peace, a happy home where angels wait above the blue. If you and I won't be together, this is where I want to be, with love forever, like the love I had with you. I will always know you loved me, but it's time to say goodbye. I was your soulmate, your companion, and your friend. Now I am free to play forever in that place beyond the sky, a happy paradise where life will never end. So when you find that you are missing me, just listen to your heart, and you will know that I am never very far. Each time you stand beneath the heavens and look up to face the dark, you will see my shining paw print in the stars.
Way to make me cry, Warren.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know how you read it without getting all choked up.
There are times when,
I bet.
and here I am in front of you and millions of people. I don't know how many, 6 people out there. I don't know. So I can do that. I can keep my composure. But there are times reading this book and the next place when my heart is filled so much with memories and feeling the loss of someone in particular that it's very, very tough.
It can be. And I think it's I think it's important for us to be authentic with our kids about, like, hey, I'm overwhelmed right now and I need a break and I'm going to go take some thinking time and kind of get myself sorted out before I can finish this conversation. Or I'm really frustrated with you right now and I don't want to say something I don't intend. So I'm going to go take some time and we'll talk about this later. I think also showing children our grief and our pain and how to navigate that and not just to be paralyzed by it is
Right.
important because that's how they learn. They're watching
Right.
us. And so I think when we insulate them a ton from it, I mean, not that I'm saying shove it in their face, but I think we can insulate them too much and leave them unaware of how to navigate.
That's right. Sometimes, very often, we do that in the name of protecting them.
Yes.
And all we're doing is postponing, and they will very possibly feel it even harder later in life if they are not prepared. So you're not really protecting them by not talking about something. And as you talk about your own grief, I really miss Bella. I really miss Scout. And I'm sad about that today. Then it opens up the permission for the child, since we're talking about children, to also, oh, it's okay to feel that way because I've been sad about Scout too, Grandpa. Um, so I'm glad to know that you're sad too. That it opens that door and allows those feelings. I I grew up north and spent most of my life in Minnesota. That's Scandinavian land. And if you know any Scandinavians, we keep pretty tight lock on our emotions.
Yes.
And it's not healthy, I don't think, for anyone to keep those things all bottled up. So especially when we're trying to pass on our experience and our knowledge about life to children, that's an important one to pass along.
And I will say, like, as, a woman of a certain age, I love that parenting has really, really holistically changed in the last 10 or 15 years. That there's much more an emphasis on helping kids navigate, letting them feel all the feels. Like, go ahead, you can feel all the feels, but how we handle the feels like we're not necessarily going to kick holes in the wall or punch our sister, even though she might kind of sort of not really have it coming. But you can feel all those feels and ways to navigate that result in hopefully a happy, healthy, empathetic, emotionally brilliant adult. Just like we work on them being smart, I also want them to work on being emotionally in touch. And I worry that maybe I'm a ninny, but I worry that all the emphasis on computers and screens and all of those things kind of zap the feeling part, the intuitive part, the creative part of life out. Um, and that I don't want our kids programmed.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
a
them feeling.
right. That's a real danger. And I've seen it up close with my 3-year-old grandson because he has now the door has opened to screens for him, and that's all he wants to do. So I've realized that is a powerful drug, and we have to be extremely careful. Now, me, as a creative person, I hate to see that happening because screens, anything on a screen, it really doesn't um, help with become a creative person at all. Uh, so you called yourself a ninny a few minutes ago. I love that. I am. It is ninny a feminine noun, and is
I
there a
don't
male?
know.
I'm the male version of that, whatever it is, and I love that, and I love seeing m- having my friends, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, I love them seeing that in me because it says to them, I'm free to be a dodo head, you know,
Mhm.
and you can be too, and it's healthy. Uh, so the screen thing, yeah, it's a huge problem right now, and I shudder at what it will mean, in the future.
I wonder what my grandparents thought were the things that they shuddered to think about that they
Yeah.
watched happening, right? Like my I had one grandmother who didn't have indoor plumbing growing up, right? So,
Oh,
um, that's not that far away, right?
right.
Like, it's just not that far away. So, and yet it's like a bazillion years ago to most of us.
Mhm.
So, I do think about like each generation has the things that they're like, "Oh, this is gonna ruin society." And then, life and love find a way. And I do try to lean into that. Um, and COVID was interesting because some people, I think it really started to break them, and other people fell in love with their families again,
Mhm.
right? Because suddenly life was very different. And a lot of my customers, myself included, um, preferred the pace of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
That
Mhm.
we weren't like that we ate at the dining room table, not in the car running from one thing to the next thing.
Right.
So, I think that there are these moments that the universe provides us with the opportunity to kind of find our way back to ourselves again.
Mhm.
And grief is kind of a unifier that way. Like it's going to touch every single family, every single one. And generally speaking, our dogs' lives and our pets' lives are shorter than
Mhm.
ours. Now, not if you get a tortoise, not if you get some of the parrots,
Oh, yeah, right.
right? That they can have exceedingly long lives.
Mhm.
But, for the average, I think about my Doberman. I think average life expectancy right now for Doberman pinchers is 8 years. Now,
Oh,
my last one lived to almost 15, but there's no guarantees in this world. And so he turned 4 Tuesday. And I think to myself, yeesh, we're halfway. right? Potentially. So
Yeah.
I think understanding that there is an end to the book, there's an end to the number of pages that are going to turn, makes the pages that I'm in more valuable.
Oh, I love that. I love that because every day, every minute, every page is valuable.
And
It
we
is
don't get them
with
back.
us. Yeah, it's only here with us
Right.
once, and then it's gone forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. Not just enjoying your pet, enjoying your family, and enjoying yourself on this day, because this day will be gone.
Yes.
So
And again, parenting is so hard, right?
mm,
Lots of people are pinched between generations, so they're trying to take care of an ailing parent or grandparent at the same time that they're trying to raise children. The financial strains are ridiculous. Our time gets pulled in all the different directions, and then all the judgment, right? Like everybody thinks they have a corner on the right way to do it. I like to say, like, my mama screwed it up her way. I screwed it up my way. My daughter screws it up her way. And we're always screwing it up a little bit better is my prayer for the world. Right.
yeah.
I also think that when we talk about grief and bereavement, it gives us the opportunity to talk about a good life and a good death,
Mm-hmm.
right? That we don't it to my way of thinking, and I'm probably wrong. Someone will think I'm wrong, and that's okay. That if we just keep pushing the idea of death and grief away, we squander so much.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And you're making me think of our little Westie Scout.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. Because Scout taught me a lot as she was preparing to leave the world. And it was very clear that she wasn't going to be with us much longer. And on the morning that we had to make that decision, uh, she had a couple of seizures. She always sat with me as I sat at the kitchen table every morning with my coffee. She was at my feet. And she got up and she acted like she needed to go outside, but instead she totally lost control of her body and ran into the wall.
Oh,
Oh, this is this is hard for me to relive. And we had known that the day was coming, but at that moment I knew it's this day. It's this day that we will say goodbye to her. And I was glad that I had prepared my heart for that. And we have to do that whenever we know we're going to lose someone, eventually, so that when that day comes, our hearts are ready and they're ready to say goodbye. So I know that you're familiar with this process. So I called the vet. We made an appointment, went over that day, and Scout left this world in my lap, being stroked and being loved. What a way to go. I would love to go that same way myself.
the last animal that we lost um got to have chocolate cake.
Oh,
And I later said to Christopher, "Do me a favor. When it's my time to go, could you just make sure there's frosting on my lips? Because that seems like a wonderful way
that's
to move
right.
to the next place, right? To to have frosting on my lips. Just
Yeah.
this wonderful, and it was funny. He was blind at that point and deaf, and he absolutely knew it was a little pug. Al absolutely knew that that was forbidden fruit and that there was more of it somewhere. And I was
No.
like, "You're right, buddy. You can have all the chocolate cake you want, and you're going to be able to have all the chocolate cake forever."
Mhm.
Like, there are worse ways to go.
That's right. That's right.
So it's, I just think it makes it more precious
Exactly. Yeah.
and not as scary.
Not as scary. We know it's coming, and all of us know that all the time.
Yes.
But acknowledging it to ourselves, acknowledging it to the people around us, being able to talk about it, it takes away those emotional shackles that we carry around with us, like Jacob Marley, in
Right.
Christmas Carol. Um, it's very freeing.
Yes. So thank you for the amazing gifts that your books provide to the world. Because I
Well,
think it's amazing. I mean, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for providing resources for each of us to help our kids, to help our parents, our grandparents, the other people around us to navigate subjects that are uncomfortable and scary and hard, but that are also beautiful and amazing and a wonderful gift.
well, it has been my joy to have that be my career. It was a career that was custom tailored for me, and I am the luckiest man in the world to have been able to use my skills and to use my heart and to use my brain in ways that I hope leave something positive in the world, for people after I'm gone.
I think you can check that box, buddy. Like, I think you nailed it. So I'm so sorry that you lost Sweet Scout. Have you ever gotten another pet, or are we still waiting?
We're not waiting. We just made the decision not to. My wife and I are both retired. In our retirement, one of our main activities is travel. We just didn't think it would be fair to bring another little friend into the house and then have to leave him or her in a kennel or something like that for much of the time. So tough decision, because I did not grow up with pets. I came to loving pets as an adult, and I I I missed a lot. So the decision to no longer do that was a tough one for me. I understand it at an intellectual level, but Scout was my pal, and I was hers, and
Well, and they just love us. Like, they keep our secrets,
yeah,
right?
they,
Like they do, and you can tell them anything, and they keep
yeah.
our secrets. I've made no apology for the reason that dogs and cats and other pets have my heart is because they really were a safe place for me to land growing up. And I
Mm,
feel like I owe a tremendous debt to them for loving me during some tough stuff. Right. And I had it pretty easy by a lot of other people's experiences. But it doesn't make that suffering any less, right?
no,
Like, we're just
tough stuff is
walking, like, none of us go through it without some trauma. Um,
right, right.
and so for me, like, I want to give back to our families that I serve and the animals that I serve, that amazing, beautiful connectedness that saves us and rescues them too,
Hmm.
right? We all get rescued in the process, and that makes the parting harder. It
Oh,
does.
it does. Yes.
So, you could always foster.
Yeah, I hadn't. Well, I'm afraid for my own heart.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's sometimes the thing too. Yeah. Right?
uh,
Like, it's hard. I
because
have a
that.
dear friend who she has a senior dog hospice.
Oh, oh,
So when animals come into the shelter that are elderly, that a family maybe can't afford to take care of them or doesn't have the bandwidth to take care of them, she takes them in. Shout out to Helen Nichols at Old Dogs Go to Helen and her amazing rescue and the amazing work she does. It is a 501(c)(3). I'll include the link in the show notes if anyone would like to donate. But she takes in hospice care animals as a part of her work. And it's hard. And
Oh,
man, you want to talk about somebody tackling grief regularly,
yeah.
but it's taught her such an amazing way to move through the world that, time is finite and these interactions, we have to be mindful and that sometimes they're ready and we're not ready. And it's not always about us, which is also kind of a hard lesson for most
Yeah, but
bipeds,
an important one. Yeah,
but an important one that,
yeah,
if it was up to me, the only way my dogs would ever part is if I went first.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I miss them.
I get it. Speaking of shout outs, I talked earlier about the publisher that I work with, Brett and Sheila Waldman, and what wonderful people they are. Now, I'm I'm a terrible salesman, and this is going to sound like sales talk, and I'm sorry about that. But they have opened their hearts to your listeners and your subscribers who are might be interested in these books, that if you order them online from them, you get a 15% discount because you have listened to me yammering here for an hour. Um, so the website is tristanpublishing.com. Tristanpublishing.com. And if you go there, you see all my books and lots of other wonderful books because their slogan is books with a message. And so all of their books are just wonderful. And if you order anything and type in, I'm going to get this right, YFD, that is your family dog, YFD 15, you will get a 15% discount on anything you order there. So we're approaching a gift giving time of the year. It may not be a bad idea to take a look.
Yeah. And I think sometimes these are really good gifts to give no matter what time of the year,
Right.
right? It's a wonderful gift to give ourselves and our kids. And I don't know, more love is always better. Love wins. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Love wins. So I hope, Warren, that in the future, you'll come back and talk to us about your adventures in writing and share your stories with us. I think that was amazing. I wonder if there's a scout book in the coming up. The lessons of scout.
Maybe. You never
Maybe
know.
it's hard. It's hard emotional work.
Well, of course, but I've been doing that work all my life. So, I digging deep. I often say that my territory is the human heart. I explore there, and what other people are feeling. That's what I write about.
And then I also wanted to express my condolences before we go of you losing your college friend.
Oh,
I'm
thanks.
so sorry.
Uh,
I do love that he nudged you as he went to say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you, buddy."
Yeah,
Right? Like, what a
yeah,
beautiful thing. I always think that's what that intuition is. But
yeah,
it's I'm thinking about you.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
well, thank you so much for spending your precious time with us today.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Been my pleasure, and I will happily come back anytime you ask.
That would be amazing. And you don't have to wait for an ask. You can always be like, "Hey, this is the project I'm working on and I want to
Okay.
come in
What are you
and
doing tomorrow?
I want to jabber about it." Yeah, I'm available tomorrow if that's what you want to do. So, thank you so much, Warren. And I'll be sure to include your publisher and the amazing gift of a coupon code in the show notes. And we'll share that with everyone. And I hope that it's incredibly successful. So
Well,
what are you
thank
working on next?
I'm pretty much retired from the book business. It is
Oh.
it is a business, and s- and the business has changed a lot over the years, and
Mhm.
so I have retired, but I'm still creative. So I told you that on my morning walks, I carry a camera. This started during COVID. Um, I started walking in this park and posting one positive or beautiful photograph every day on Facebook. And I continue that because it is a joy for my heart. And I'm hoping that I share that with other people. And
That's
then
wonderful.
I'm
I'll
also
have
a
to find you
songwriter
on Facebook.
environment. So uh, I've always been interested in music, and so now I write songs all the time.
Oh, that's wonderful too. How great. So if I turned off my pretend screen back here, you would see that I'm sitting next to an enormous drum kit that belongs
Oh, all
to
right.
Christopher. So, yeah, I had a guest on recently that I ended up turning off the background so that she could see something I was trying to show her, and she's like, "I didn't know that you're stuck in a corner squared up against, there's, like, tambourines and all
Oh,
sorts of
yeah, yeah.
stuff in the recording studio that is our guest room."
Oh, hey, we
Thank
have
you.
one of those.
Thank you, God, for a Murphy bed, right? It
Yeah,
allows us to multi-purpose the guest room. So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season because we are
thank you.
recording this in early December. And I do really hope you'll come on and maybe share some music with us next time.
You never know. Happy
Oof.
to do it.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you
wonderful
very
day.
much.
Mwah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending part of your precious day with us. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, rate, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at yourfamilydogpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you soon.